Good morning, everybody. Going to try this one again. This is the third time this morning I've tried to go live. For whatever reason, Facebook is making changes again, and they don't want me to go live from my laptop, so on the phone. Mad scramble to set everything up. So let's get to this. This morning, I'm going to talk about this week's blog, which is all about how to stay present with your emotions. Now, it's been a very difficult year for everybody. I think everybody can acknowledge that it's been quite painful for a lot of people. So, not surprisingly, people have wanted to suppress their emotions, shove them down, disassociate, and that's normal. It's a normal reaction to a very extreme event. So, you might have decided to take the extra glass of wine. You might have, binged watched an entire episodes, a whole box set. You might be using YouTube, you might be using whatever it is, you might be using different forms of means to disassociate from your emotions. And unfortunately, that's never a good thing. Even in the short term, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for your stress, your anxiety, even physical symptoms like your blood pressure are all going to go up, and your self-esteem is just going to go down and down and down. So you're actually getting into a very negative cycle there, and making some bad choices that are going to make things worse than facing up to the emotions and just sitting with the emotions. Now, I know that can be hard, so I'm going to give you some tips. If we continue to do it, of course, there's going to be the long-term implications for your physical and mental health. And in some cases, you can end up taking out our emotions on other people, and we're shoving them down, and then we just have this outburst, perhaps of frustration or anger, and we come home from work and we take it out on the kids, and that's not fair. So let's get in. I'm going to give you about 7 tips on how to help you stay present. Now, there's no quick fixes, I'm afraid. There are some simple strategies you can use, and I will give you those. But if even in the shorter term, you really need to be, it takes work, it takes continuous work, it takes practice, it takes patience with yourself. And you have to give yourself patience. That's showing yourself compassion. And we need to do that. We can have compassion for others and have a great deal of patience and give a great deal of time to others. But we also need to remember we need to give that to ourselves as well if we want things to change. So the first thing I'll talk about is awareness. As they say, if you're not aware of it, you can't change it. But if you're watching this, then generally it means, there's something niggling there. There's something in the back of your head going, something's not right here. So you're trying to find out information. And this kind of awareness is what I'm talking about. This is about taking back your power. It's about empowering yourself and, simply acknowledging how you feel. Like, how am I feeling right now? By simply saying, I'm sad, or I'm angry, or I'm frustrated, or I'm anxious. That's simply raising your awareness. It's also taking back your power. And it's a simple exercise to do. And sometimes it's okay to do that in reflection after the fact. At the start, and an awful lot of what I'm talking about here, you'll use a journal, you'll do what we call reflective journaling, and you'll look at how your day went, and you'll see, okay, how it's not just a case of like brain dumping it out to help you get a better night's sleep, but also allowing the emotions to come up, the thoughts to come out. What happened today? Was there a particular incident? And at the end of the day, it's still playing on your mind. Then acknowledge it. Simply say, I felt angry at that moment in time. I felt frustrated. I felt sad at that moment in time. And it's okay to do that. Go back and just simply acknowledging it. That's the first tip I'd say to you. The second one is, accept how you feel. Don't skip this one. This is very, very, very important. An awful lot of times when we become aware of something, we'll try and jump immediately into action. And that's where we make the big mistake, because we're being reactive there and not being proactive. And when we're not being proactive, we may not be making the best choices for us. And that's very important. We need to be making the better choices for us. So, simply accepting, okay, this is how I felt. I am feeling sad. This is how I feel. And that's all you have to do. Just simply saying how you feel and accepting this is how I feel, and that's okay. You're adding the words "that's okay" at the end of that sentence. That's all you're doing there. When we might want to try and avoid certain emotions because they have, maybe a connotation, a negative connotation that we have. So something perhaps, I've heard Patrick Stewart, so Patrick Stewart is an actor, talk about anger and not being able to get angry as a man, as an adult. Of course he was angry. He just wasn't able to acknowledge it. But not able to play these characters who were very angry because of his childhood. If anybody doesn't know, he grew up in a very a domestic violence situation. It was a very hard childhood, but he didn't want to face up to that emotion. So we can have, or we can put on negative connotations onto our emotions. So therefore, we don't want to acknowledge we have them. Now it can be a lot subtler than that. So, we have to look at it and say, okay, I am feeling sad. I am feeling angry. And that's okay. That's all you're doing there is just acknowledging and accepting by saying that's okay. That's all you're doing. That means you're getting into the acceptance, the realm of acceptance. And that's where we need to be. We need to not skip that part, as I said. In time, you may be able to go a little bit deeper and look at the core emotion. Sometimes we can have, we can say we're afraid of something, but we don't really know what it is. And is it really fear? And we can go deeper and deeper and look at what is the core emotion. Generally the core emotions will be like love, fear, and sadness around those. So we want to get in there deeper and look at that. But for now, we're simply validating. That's all we're doing. We're validating ourselves. By simply saying those words, I am sad and that's okay, you're validating yourself. And that's very important. We do it all the time with others. Remember that. You'll always say to people, oh, that's okay, you're all right. That's what you're doing to yourself. You're simply flipping it around and doing it for yourself. So number 3 then is to try and, focus on the present moment. So in a moment in time, maybe it isn't, we don't want to let the emotion run away with us. We don't want to let the thoughts run away with us. Maybe it's not appropriate. So we will need to stay present with what we're doing. So we need to give ourselves a little pep talk. So for instance, you're in a meeting or you've just come off a Zoom meeting, because most things are happening now around online, and you're really frustrated with one of your colleagues, but you have to get something done. You have a report you need to get done, or you need to finish out a piece of work because the kids are going to be coming out from school and you're not going to get that piece of work done. Giving yourself a little bit of a pep talk in that moment in time. Again, we're not shoving down the emotions in this case. What we're doing is we're acknowledging them. Yeah, I'm really feeling frustrated with Mary there. She blooming undermined me in that meeting. I have to talk to Joe about that. I'm going to do something about that. But right now I'm going to focus on this report. That's a pep talk. You're giving yourself a little bit of a pep talk to try and bring yourself back into the moment, because when we have a thought, the thought is only a very tiny, small pinprick really in our brain. But when we add in the rumination, it makes it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And maybe what was frustration expands and expands and expands. We then try to shove it all down because we're trying to do something. The kids land in from school and we take it out on them because maybe you're on a call or something, or you're trying to get something done, and we just take it out on somebody else. We take it out inappropriately on somebody else. Now, this takes a little bit of practice and skill on your part, and it is a skill. But you can learn it. You really can learn it if you can keep at it and keep at it and keep trying at it. Yes, you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. That's part of being an adult, is accepting that we make mistakes, we own up to them, we take responsibility for our emotions, and we just, we keep trying and keep chipping away at these things. So, that's another tip there. Give yourself that pep talk. But it's easier if you know your triggers. So I'm going to bring it on to tip 4, which will be know your triggers. So if there are, people or places or situations that you know are going to trigger a particular emotion with you, it's easier to kind of circumvent those. So this is a little bit of a circle back to awareness, the first tip about getting awareness. So your journal is going to be your best friend here. Like, who and what is triggering you? What's really going on? We might be taking on someone, our responsibilities. We might be able to, we might be doing things that we're really frustrated about, having to clean up a mess. We need to find out what's really going on. What's going underneath all those triggers. Or maybe you just don't like that person. Maybe there is somebody who really is annoying. They're not pulling their weight in work, whatever it is. You need to become more aware of it. Therefore, you're not going to start taking it out on other people. You're going to be able, as I said, to be more proactive about it. A lot of the time when we start doing this, we'll take it out on ourselves as well. And it's the real reason is because we're feeling a little bit helpless. We're feeling a bit hopeless, unable to change something. So we're going to take it out on others, or not the person really responsible. We're going to take it out on maybe ourselves. And we're shoving it down. We're shoving it down with food. We're shoving it down with, a glass of wine. We're disassociating with gaming or whatever your disassociation of choice is. We're numbing out. So getting to know who's triggering you or what's triggering you is really, really important. It really is an important exercise. So trying that exercise, getting to know how you respond to different people. Do we act in a certain way or manner around a particular person? And then when we stop and look back and we really reflect on it, we can do a lot more, to acknowledge how we felt, who and what was involved, what was happening at that moment in time, maybe what happened beforehand, what happened afterwards. And we can see it all a lot more clearly when we do that. And sometimes then that helps us to, one, see it from the other person's perspective, which is always helpful, because that can be a positive thing, but you can see a lot of negatives there. Are people skipping out on their responsibilities? Are they trying to manipulate you? Have you been having this, are they lying to you, but you weren't really sure whether they were lying to you or that? But it also then helps you, as I said, to become more proactive. So you can set the healthier, clearer boundaries, and you can start acting in your own best interests when you know your triggers, when you can see it, and you can see the whole picture, the real picture, what's really going on. So this brings me on then to tip 5, which would be use your journal. Your journal is going to be your best friend. And I keep hinting at this because, writing it down, using reflection at the end of the day, a great way to get a better night's sleep, by the way, because as I said, when we get this thought, these emotions come up, we feed them by thinking. Our thoughts will feed them. We ruminate, in other words, or we have some other cognitive distortion there, and we feed it and feed it and feed it. And by the time we go to try and sleep, we can't sleep. So getting it all out and down on paper, and this is some of the things I recommend to one of my mum's group, is, write it down, do your brain dump, get out your shopping list, your to-dos, your appointments, whatever it is that's on your mind, and then allow the rest of the stuff to come up. Give yourself about 15 or 20 minutes every night and let it all come up and write it down. Just let it flow out. And it really helps with your mental health. It really helps you get to know your triggers, really helps to decrease your stress levels, gives you a better night's sleep. And this is one of the reasons why I consider journaling as part of your basics of self-care. I have certain things that I would have as a baseline for people's self-care, and this is one of them. So it really is a good idea to write it down. It really improves your mental and physical health. It'll decrease your stress and your anxiety. And that's just one of the tips I gave to my mum's group. We have 11 courses up there at the moment. So if you are interested in joining, there'll be a link in the description. So do pop in and join us. there in the group. Tip number 6, take responsibilities. I've already hinted at this. Take responsibility for your emotions. They're your emotions. They're my emotions. Nobody else owns them. I own them. So this is empowering. This can really empower you when you realize, no, this is my emotion. I'm feeling these emotions. Nobody else can make me feel this. I have to feel them. I own them. They're mine. That's empowering, because that means I get to choose how I feel. I can take back the power of how I'm going to respond in that moment in time. So again, this going back to your triggers, realizing how I feel and becoming more aware. And as I said, in time, using the reflective journal, you really get to understand yourself better, and therefore you can do it in the present moment. You can always do it right here and now. At the start, you're going to be doing it's going to be a little bit higgledy-piggledy, but if you keep chipping away at it, as I said, you do get better at it. Tip number 7, take time out, just as we do with the kids. We tell them, they need to take time out. They need to decompress. Therefore, we need to decompress too. So we need that time out. And during that time, take a little time for the extra TLC. Even acknowledging, yes, even if it is to do with anger, even if it is to do, you weren't on your best behavior, let's say, it's okay to be kind to yourself and have that compassion for yourself. Meditate, do some exercise. This is all going to get out those stress hormones. Get up, move yourself on, and move out those stress hormones and help you to calm down a lot quicker. Take a nap, take some sleep for yourself. Sleep on it, as they say. It really does help if you can sleep on it as well. And then work through your emotions. So take that time out, give yourself the time out just as much as you would with the kids. And a bonus tip, if you do feel you can go a little deeper and you do think, you realize that it is negative thinking that's driving the emotions, it's a particular thought pattern. Remember, go back, create a mantra, create an affirmation, look and try and, as I said, go a little bit deeper and see what's the underlying thought or emotion that's in there. Perhaps it's a negative thought, such as you don't feel good enough. It's quite a common one for an awful lot of people. You feel you can't do something is another one. We fear of failure. So talk yourself into it. Little mantra like a pep talk. I can do it. I remember with my own, when I was learning to drive many decades ago, my driving instructor kept saying to me, "You can do it, Deborah. Just do it, Deborah. Just do it." And that always stuck with me. That was my pep talk. And to this day, all these decades later, I still use that pep talk. Just do it, Deborah. So if you have a little pep talk for yourself, like that, a little mantra for yourself, or even creating an affirmation, they do work because they're going to start changing the way you think and the way your brain operates. You're drawing your brain's attention. I've talked about negative bias in the past. Looking for the positives in your life. I was talking about that during the week with my mum's group, and how you can do a reframe. So affirmations are really a reframe in your brain. So I am good enough would be a common enough affirmation that we would use. So have a think about those. Meditation, of course, always brilliant at helping you to sit with yourself. Helps with any sort of emotion, but that takes a little bit of practice. So even the 3-minute breather, I've talked about that before, trying that 3-minute breather. So I'll leave it there. If you need help, and of course, I'm here if you want to work with me, I'm available. So Deirdre, good morning as always. Very hard to see the comments, guys, this morning. I know there's been a few people watching. The delays and restarts, yes, they are really weird. It's all to do with the changes in GDPR, something to do with small changes they've had to make. So there's an awful lot of glitches. It's to do with Messenger and things like that, and message bots and stuff like that. They've changed everything since the other day. So it's yeah, it's crazy. It's Facebook. I'm just beginning to accept it's Facebook. We just have to go with the flow. So I leave it there and just say to you, happy Christmas to everybody. I hope everybody has a better new year. And this is the last Facebook Live for about 3 weeks. And hopefully I'll see you then in 3 weeks' time. So I leave it there. Thank you. Good morning.